Buffalo Grove has 42,000 residents and we cover about 10 square miles of area. It's mostly a bedroom community, though we do have pockets of industrial and commercial areas. We're really known for our schools, and that's why people move and want to live in Buffalo Grove. We control about 114 miles of the street. We've got 21,000 trees. We've got all the water mains and storm sewers and sanitary sewers that run along those right-of-ways. 14 lift stations. We also maintain the entire fleet for the Village of Buffalo Grove, which includes police and fire equipment, and also manage IT services. Prior to Cartograph, we had a work order system that we developed in-house. It was a Lotus Notes database, and it really tracked requests, and then we have separate databases to track things like labor, equipment, what material costs we had in there, and really we were entering the same data in multiple locations.
We would have paper work orders and paper notes saying this is what we did, and at the end of the day we would fill in our time on a piece of paper saying Steve worked 8 hours and these are the jobs he did. And it was terribly inefficient. A lot of stuff fell through the cracks. We were trying to, in spreadsheets, kind of track some data, but we could never quite pull it out to get to where we wanted to be.
We chose Cartograph because it was the most streamlined user interface. And we were really looking for something that was easy to use for all employees at all levels. Really, collecting this data in one place has allowed us to be more aware of what's going on. Even employees now know, how successful they are at hitting goals and hitting metrics, so that when they report in on their activities, right after the activity is done, they're out in the field putting that information in. We can run reports right at the end of the week, and they can see their progress as they're moving forward. We have the ability to report out onto the data that we've collected and really do a full-on data-driven decision on whether it makes sense to outsource something or keep it in-house. We really try to not be afraid of what the data tells us. It allows us to focus on what we're good at and kind of push off some of the other stuff that we may not be as efficient on. In our forestry department, we take a look at things like landscape maintenance and tree trimming. On the landscape maintenance side, we're not as cost effective using our in-house employees on that, so we've outsourced that portion of it. It allowed us to refocus those employees into tree maintenance rather than landscape maintenance, which is an area that we were better at than the contractors, which really allows us to use taxpayer money in the appropriate manner at the end of the day.
Someone's always looking at the tree, inspecting the tree, having a good understanding, of what that tree's current health is. When you're on a good cycle, less trees need to be taken down. When you haven't been through town or in some areas in 8 and 10 years, more wood is on your tree, you're creating more debris. And so by establishing a better cycle and to get between a 4.5 and a 5-year plan, science tells us that's the ideal amount where not too much growth has been put on a tree. So your wounds are smaller to the tree, it's better for the tree health. And then overall, you're doing less work every time you're going through a neighborhood 4.5 to 5 years.
So one thing that people don't generally focus on in their daily work aspect is just the paperwork load that you have to deal with. And one area where we kind of pulled that out was these vehicle maintenance check sheets that we do. Steve Fritz, one of our management analysts, did a great project where he digitized those vehicle check sheets and saved a whole bunch of paper and a whole bunch of time every year.
We use automations almost daily for just about everything you can do. Our utility section, our water department, has to go to each water station and check out what they do every day. And even to something as simple as not having to create the tasks themselves, but every day at 6:30 those tasks are automated for them. Same thing with our sanitary and drainage department. They check 13 lift stations once a week. Every Monday at 7 o'clock, 13 station checks and 13 generator check tasks are automatically assigned to the crews in the field, so they can literally come into work, grab their iPad and go, and know exactly what they're doing for that day. So we have our water department. They go out and we have assets for water valves, water bee boxes, our mains, our hydrants. And so they are able to track their costs and everything they do. So when they're out changing bolts in a water valve, they can directly show how much it takes to maintain just that valve and when was the last time it was serviced. So we have an up-to-date record of when we were there, what we did, and how much it cost. Everyone knows that pothole patching is a never-ending cycle of going back to the same location. And so we got tired of going back to the same areas, the same potholes, and filling them with a material that will pop out again, and it's just throwing money away. So we looked at how could we solve this differently, And so we were able to purchase a grinder for our Bobcat. And so what we're tracking now is the cost per foot of what it costs to grind out the asphalt, lay new asphalt versus coming back weekly to fill in these areas and these potholes. We're trying to efficiently extend the life of our roads without necessarily having the money to do an entire road program.
High performance government is really all about efficiency to us. Being able to make data-driven decisions so we're not just guessing on what the improvements are. We like to work with our employees to create performance maps of the things that we do here in-house and use Cartograph as a way to prove out some ideas that we've had. We don't always have the resources that we'd like to have at hand, but that doesn't mean that we can give up on our residents. So we'd really like to use Cartograph to help drive that performance out in the field, out on the street, even with our internal customers here in Public Works, so that we can be high performance and really set the bar in the area.
We have a system in place that allows us to flow without any starts and stops. You know, we're not ping-ponging around from one thing to another. We know what we want to get done and we do it.
We really do feel like we're making an impact to the residents with the work that we do. We understand that they pay high taxes. We understand that we have to be considerate of the money that's coming our way, and it's really incumbent on us to spend that money the right way.